Today we're going to be working with clay. We're going to be making a pinch pot. A pinch pot is like a little bowl, obviously, but the cool thing about pinch pots is they're a great thing to know how to make out of clay because as we start to work more with clay in first grade and second grade and third grade, we can make pinch pots and we can kind of connect them together to make other things besides a bowl. So if you're following along at home right now, you should have gotten some clay that I sent home for you. And we're going to make it, and then you are going to have your grown-up bring it back to Summer Street School, and I'm going to do something special with it. I'm going to cook it in a special oven called a kiln. We have a special oven at Summer Street School. It's different than your oven at home. It gets way, way, way hotter than a regular oven, and it takes some time to cook the clay. It takes more than like baking a cake. It takes a lot of hours, like maybe 8 hours to cook something like this. So I will cook it, and then it will become permanently hard, which it will still be breakable if you drop it, but it's kind of like your cups and plates at home. They're fragile, but you can handle them and they won't just crumble. When this dries, if I'm very rough with it or I drop it, it will just crumble. So we want to make sure that this gets back to Summer Street School safely and it gets cooked in the kiln, okay? So if you don't have your clay yet, don't worry, okay? It was left for you in the pickup bin, but if you don't have it yet, it's still going to be there for you. You can save this video for another day, and you can do something from the art choice board in the virtual art room studio, okay? Let's get started. Oh, one more thing before we begin. I almost forgot this. When we are watching this next video that I'm going to show you, you don't want to take your clay out yet. You're going to watch the video 2 times. It's not very long. The first time, you're going to watch all the steps, and that will give you an idea of what to expect and what you're going to do. And then you're going to take out your clay and you're going to get ready. I'll tell you what you need, and you're going to watch the video a second time while you follow along. You can always pause the video when you need to, okay? All right, here we go. Okay, so I just put down a piece of paper on my desk area just to keep my clay from sticking to the table and from getting my table too messy. But if you do want to work right on the table, if that's okay with your grown-ups at home, it's fine. Clay washes off really easily, won't stain anything. So I'm going to take out my clay now. I gave you this piece of clay, and I want you to not touch it yet until you're ready to use it. So keep your clay in the bag until I've told you all the instructions, because clay will start to dry. So if I start to smush it and play with it and roll it and touch it too much, it will start to get really dry and crumbly, and I don't want that to happen. So one thing we can do when we're not using it, we can keep it in the bag or the container that it came in, okay? And another thing we want to do is we want to get something a little wet. So I have here, it's got a little clay on it, but this is a wet paper towel. It's just a paper towel I put under the sink, and then I squeezed out all the extra water, so it's just a little damp. If you don't have paper towels in your house or a little rag that you could use, you could also just get a little container of water just to kind of keep it a little wet when you need to. And I'll show you how to use that. I think the paper towel is better than the water because sometimes the water we use too much and our clay gets soggy. So when you're ready and to follow the instructions, you're going to take it out of the container. And step 1 is you're going to make sure it's a nice round ball. So I'm kind of holding it in my hands. I'm kind of packing it like a snowball to make it round. Pack it, and then smooth it. So I put it in between my hands and gently roll it. If I press down too hard, look what happens. It turns into kind of a disc shape. So just smush it back out, smooth it, or you could put it on the table and gently roll it. Okay, and you see it's kind of going to make things a little chalky and dirty, but that's okay. We'll wash it later. All right, and then you don't want to press down too hard because you don't want it to get flat. You want it to stay nice and round. All right, When it's nice and round, we're going to do step 2. Step 2 is we're very carefully going to poke a belly button almost all the way down, like a deep, deep belly button, but not all the way because we don't want to accidentally poke a hole on the bottom. Okay, so I can use my thumb or I can use my finger, whichever's easier. You might want to stand up so you can look straight down over it. Poke, 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 poke. Okay, when you feel like you might hit the bottom, go ahead and stop. If you accidentally poke a hole on the bottom, just smush it smooth with your fingertip. Okay, so we did step 2. Step 2 is make a belly button. Now we're ready for step 3. Step 3 is why we call this a pinch pot. We are going to pinch it to make it bigger. But we're not going to do this type of pinch. This is kind of what we think of our fingers doing when we hear the word pinch. This is more of a squeeze. So think of your fingers more like a duck that's quacking. Quack, quack, quack. And you put your thumb back in the middle. Okay, it's important that only your thumb goes in the middle. If you put lots of fingers in the middle, you're going to open that hole way too wide and maybe even rip it, and you're not going to have a pinch pot. You're going to have a pinch plate. So I'm going to put it on my hand now because it will keep the bottom from being super flat. I guess you could keep it on the table, but I like to put it in my hand. I put my thumb in the hole, and then remember my hand is like a duck's beak quacking, quack, quack, quack. So gently squeeze that quacker a little and turn it a little. That's why I like to hold it in my hand, because I can squeeze, turn, squeeze, turn, squeeze, turn, squeeze, turn. And it's not going to feel like it's doing very much at first, but we're going to keep going and keep going. And that hole is getting bigger. Did you notice that? Little by little, it's getting bigger. If you squeeze it really hard, you might get a little crack. And I'll show you how to fix that if that's happened to you. But I'm still pinching way deep down, not up here. No, because then I'm just going to get a skinny little edge here and not a big hole. I'm going way deep down. The beak is all the way in. Okay. We're going to take a look, and now comes step 4. I'm going to check it. I want the edge to be as thick as my pinky. Okay, if it's a little thick, I can squeeze it a little more. But check it, make sure it's as thick as my pinky. Okay, now I want you to check the bottom. Make sure there's no holes. If there's holes, you just mush it over and patch them up. Okay, now 5. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to take our wet paper towel, or if you don't have a paper towel that's wet, I just put the tiniest bit of water in here. I don't need much because you just need a fingertip of water. Okay, so you take your fingertip of water or your wet paper towel, and if you have any bumps or cracks, you just smooth them. So the last step is smooth. Okay. All right. You want it nice and smooth. Okay. And that is your pinch pot. So this pinch pot, we're going to carefully put it in a box or something, and your grown-up can bring it back to me at Summer Street School, and I will cook it in our special clay oven that's called the kiln, and it will harden. It will become nice and hard, and then I will send it back to you, and we'll do another lesson where we paint it. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this. Take your time, watch the video again, and follow